The days that followed felt like they were dragging, each one heavier than the last. I hadn't heard from Jake since his final message, the one that tore through me like a knife. "I gave you a chance, Emily, but you didn't choose me. I'm done waiting. Don't try to find me again." His words echoed in my head at the most unexpected times, while I was pouring coffee at work, while I sat across from Ryan at dinner, even as I stared at the ceiling late at night, chasing a sleep that never seemed to come. Every moment felt like I was suffocating, trapped between the life I had chosen and the life I had almost had. But I couldn't turn back now. Ryan noticed the change in me. How could he not? He'd been patient up until this point, giving me space, letting me process whatever it was that haunted me. But his patience was starting to wear thin. I saw it in the way he looked at me, like he was searching for someone who wasn't there anymore. He was trying so hard. And all I could do was pretend everything was fine. One night, after another dinner full of fake smiles and empty conversation, I sat in bed staring at my phone. I had written and erased a message to Jake more times than I could count. Apologies, confessions, pleas. But every time I looked at Ryan, sleeping peacefully beside me, the guilt paralyzed me. I couldn't hurt him, but I couldn't ignore the gaping hole Jake had left behind either. Just as I was about to set the phone down, my screen lit up. It was a message from Jake. My heart leapt and plummeted all at once as I opened it. "I never wanted to hurt you. I thought you'd come back, but you didn't. I guess I was wrong about us. But I'm done, Emily. I'm moving on. Don't try to find me." The words were sharp, final, and I knew deep down he meant them. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. All the breath rushed out of me at once. Tears blurred my vision as the reality of it all slammed into me. Jake had truly given up on me, and I had let him go. I hadn't even realized I was crying until I felt the warm streaks running down my cheeks. Choking on a sob, I got up and wandered into the living room. Ryan was sitting on the couch, scrolling mindlessly through the TV channels. His head snapped up when he saw me. My red eyes, my trembling hands. "Emily?" His voice was soft, cautious. "What's wrong?" I stood there, frozen. I wanted to tell him everything, about Jake, about the confusion, about the shame. But the words felt stuck, trapped behind a lifetime of pretending. I'm not okay, Ryan," I whispered, my voice cracking. "I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know who I am anymore." Ryan stood up, his eyes full of worry. He opened his arms like he was ready to catch me, ready to fix whatever was broken. But I couldn't let him. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, stepping back. "I've been lying to you. I've been lying to myself. And I can't keep pretending anymore." Ryan's face tightened. A flash of pain crossed his features before he schooled it into something colder, something harder. "Emily," he said carefully, "are you telling me there's someone else?" The words hung heavy between us. I nodded, unable to meet his eyes. Ryan inhaled sharply, like he had been punched. "So you've been thinking about someone else this whole time? While we were planning our life together?" I swallowed hard, my silence answering for me. He shook his head slowly, his jaw clenched so tight I thought he might break. "I don't know how to fix this," he said hoarsely. "I don't even know if I want to try." I opened my mouth, desperate to explain, but he lifted a hand, stopping me. "Emily," he said, voice cracking, "I love you, but I can't keep doing this. Not when I feel like I'm losing you every day." And just like that, He turned and walked toward the door. I didn't stop him. Couldn't stop him. I just stood there, watching him leave, feeling the pieces of my life scatter around me like broken glass. The door clicked shut. Silence swallowed me whole. And then, my phone buzzed again. Jake. I know I said I was done, but there's something you need to know. Something I didn't tell you before. I wasn't the only one keeping secrets. I stared at the message, my heart hammering against my ribs. I need to see you. Now, before it's too late. Before it's too late. The words rang in my ears. Without thinking, I grabbed my coat, my keys, my phone, and ran out the door. The night was freezing. The wind stung my skin as I sped through the dark streets, heart pounding in my ears. My mind raced with 1,000 questions. When I pulled into the old park, I saw him. Jake. Standing beneath the flickering street lamp, his hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets. His face was serious, his eyes full of something I couldn't name. I jumped out of the car and hurried toward him. Jake, I said breathlessly. What's going on? What do you mean, secrets? He hesitated for a beat, then reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Old and worn, my name scrawled across the front in familiar handwriting. I wasn't the only one keeping secrets, Emily, he said quietly. You need to know the truth, and once you do, you won't be able to walk away. With shaking hands, I tore open the envelope. Inside was a photo, and what I saw made my blood run cold. It was Ryan, but he wasn't alone. He was with a woman, someone I didn't recognize. They were too close, their bodies too familiar. I stared at the photo, feeling the ground tilt beneath me. Jake's voice broke through the fog. There's a lot you don't know, and it's not just about me. Tears blurred my vision, but not from sadness, from rage, from betrayal, from the horrible realization that maybe I wasn't the only one who had been unfaithful in heart. I need to talk to him, I whispered. Jake nodded solemnly. You deserve the truth. Without another word, I turned and drove home, my hands trembling around the steering wheel. When I pushed open the door to our apartment, Ryan was sitting on the couch, his head in his hands. He looked up when he heard me, his face crumpling in relief. Emily, he said, standing quickly. I've been trying to call you. Please, just let me explain. I held up the photo, my voice cold and steady. What is this, Ryan? His face drained of color as he saw it. I didn't want you to find out like this, he said quietly. Then when were you going to tell me? I demanded. Were you ever going to tell me? He was silent for a long moment. I made a mistake, he said finally, his voice thick with regret. I was scared. I didn't know how to fix what was broken between us, so I ran from it. I ran to someone else. The words sliced through me. And you let me believe it was all my fault, I whispered. You let me carry that guilt. I know, he said brokenly. I know, and I'll never forgive myself for it. I stared at him, feeling utterly hollow. I need time, I said, my voice raw. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. I don't know if I even want to. I'll wait, Ryan said immediately, as long as it takes. But I didn't answer. I couldn't. I needed air. I needed space. I needed to find myself again. The weeks that followed were both the hardest and the most freeing of my life. I pulled away from everyone, Ryan, Jake, all the noise, and focused on myself. I went back to basics, books, walks, long mornings at coffee shops, late nights journaling my fears and dreams. And slowly, the fog began to lift. Jake and I didn't speak for a while. He understood that I needed space to heal, to figure out what I truly wanted. And Ryan stayed quietly on the edges of my life. No grand gestures, no pressure, just silent, steady presence. In time, we started talking again, not about the past, but about who we were now. Two broken people, trying to rebuild from the wreckage. It wasn't easy. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. But little by little, I started to believe again. In myself, in forgiveness, in second chances. One afternoon, while sipping coffee at my favorite corner shop, my phone buzzed. A message from Jake. "I hope you're doing okay, Emily. I'm proud of you. You're stronger than you think. Take care of yourself." I smiled softly. It wasn't bitter. It wasn't painful. It was closure. Jake had been my wake-up call, my catalyst for change. But he wasn't my forever. That was something I had to find on my own. Months later, Ryan proposed again. No grand crowd, no dramatic speech, just the two of us, in the living room, the quiet hum of life around us. He knelt down, holding out a small velvet box, his eyes full of hope and fear. "Will you marry me?" he asked. I looked at him, really looked, at the man who had hurt me, at the man who had fought to earn my trust again, at the man who had grown alongside me. And I realized, forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to move forward anyway. I smiled, my heart full. "Yes," I said simply. "Yes, I will." And in that moment, I knew, whatever storms we faced ahead, I was ready. Because I finally trusted myself enough to weather them.